Hey guys, how's it going out there? I'm just doing my first live video for you guys. I've been getting a lot of questions and I want to make sure that you guys are able to get as many answers as possible from me because I want to make sure that all the knowledge is passed on and you guys are able to actually do what you got to do and be a PJ. So first, my name is Brian. I'm from How to Be a PJ. Let me just tell you a little bit about why I started this business, and then I'll get to kind of my, who I am and where I've been, that kind of stuff, and we'll see where it goes from there. At the end, maybe we'll go over some questions that you guys have or that kind of stuff, and we'll see where it goes. So first of all, I'm not really good at technology, so this is kind of my first step into it. I saw a need for people that I think would have made it through INDOC if they had some kind of mentor or somebody that can actually show them how they need to prepare for INDOC. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I can put out that information. And like I said, I wrote the lesson plans for INDOC, so I have all the knowledge to make sure that you guys are able to succeed. And I've seen a couple guys, some of my students that are joining in right now. So thanks for watching. If you guys can actually pass on the word and make sure that these guys also know the knowledge, and you can probably pick them out from their pictures and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, I want to make sure that as many good guys got through as possible, because I know that a lot of you guys are trying hard and you guys are training day in, day out. But I want it to be a focused training, not just going in one direction and not actually training for what you got to do. So besides that, for myself, like I said, I've been in the Air Force for 12 years. I joined in 2005, and I wanted to do something awesome with my life. I've seen a couple people that I think I could have saved before, kids, adults, family members, that kind of thing. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to do something in the event that somebody was actually able or injured. I was able to take care of them and make sure that they stayed alive. So I try to be that person in the room that's always keeping everybody safe and making sure that everyone's taken care of. And that's kind of a life that we as PJs live, that others may live. That means you take care of everyone. So I joined in 2005, like I said, 2.5 year pipeline, went through INDOC first time, all the rest of the schools first time. But the pipeline was kind of slow back in those days, so it took 2.5 years to get through. But it was an awesome time. I really enjoyed my time in the pipeline. So after I was done with that, I went over to the 321st STS in Mildenhall, the United Kingdom. And I had a great time there. I learned a lot about myself. Being at STS, you kind of roll with the SEALs, the Green Berets, the Rangers, all those guys, and you're pretty much on your own. So I had to grow a lot, mature a lot, and make sure that I was able to keep up with those guys. So that was kind of where I started my fitness regime, making sure that everything that I did was a functional type of fitness, and it was going to prepare me for that. If that time came that I had to, pull a guy out or carry a guy, then I wanted to make sure that I was able to be depended on. So after I got done with Mildenhall, I went over to Nellis at the 58th Rescue Squadron, and I was a team leader there for 4 years. I have 8 total deployments, and all over the world, just different places. I mean, I'm sure you see some of my pictures. Not all deployments are crappy deployments. Some of them are actually pretty good. Some of them, the best part of being on deployment is you get in shape. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Like I said, this is going to be a question and answer session, so let me get to some of your questions here. Make sure that they're being answered. All right, let's see. What is the most important factor in our control that we can start working on today to succeed at INDOC? I tell people all the time that passing INDOC is not all physical. You can get these jack dudes that, they're just on muscle magazines or whatever. They're just gigantic guys. Myself, I came in, I was about 150 pounds, and I was a pretty light guy. I didn't really know what to expect. So I think most of it is all mental game. You have to have kind of been in some hard times, and that's part of my workouts that I'm going to be putting out. Is it's going to be difficult. Some of the days, obviously there's going to be days where it's not like completely crushing you, but there are going to be days that you're going to have to crush yourself just so you can experience the pain to make sure that you're able to actually progress through indoc, stay with the team, and stay in the fight, no matter how smoked you are, no matter what happens, how good are you at breaking putting grips. That's funny. So it's mostly, to me, I see it as 70% mental and 20% physical, because mostly when you're on land, you're going to go until you hit muscle failure. You're going to go until whatever happens, you get a little injured or something like that. It's not a big deal. But when you get into the water, that's where it gets all mental. Nobody wants to pass out underwater. Nobody wants to, see their buddies pass out or have to be revived in the pool, be loopy, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it is mental. To prepare right now, though, I would probably, do some difficult stuff. I'm gonna have some more workout or more tips and stuff like that on difficult things to do whenever I come up with my website and my workouts. All right, let's see. Hold on, let me go back up. Make sure I'm answering your guys' questions. How did Draper do at phase 2? I was actually getting pictures from some of the other instructors that were up at phase 2. I heard that they're down to 10 candidates right now, and they started with, I think, 29 candidates. So I'm not sure about Draper, though. Biggest non-physical attribute Cadre looks for at Indoc and Crow selection. The biggest thing that we look for is teamwork. If we see a guy who he kind of sucks at, buddy breathing, he kind of sucks in the water, he's not getting his stroke right, whatever it is, and we see him still helping guys, he's always the first guy to get to the team gear, he's always the first guy to make sure that the water coolers are filled up, everyone else's water bottles filled up, that kind of stuff. We really value that a lot because we see that, when we're out in the field, when we're out deployed, if you're able to take care of your buddy and then yourself, and obviously you have to be squared away yourself, but if you're able to take care of your buddy, then we know that you're a team player, and then you're going to be a valuable asset on our team. PJ, any interaction as a PJ with Sauce? No, but I have worked with some of the SRT guys downrange, actually a lot of times. Have a pool nowhere near you. I don't know where you live without a pool, but do you have like ponds or lakes or something like that? I mean, other than that, you can do some CO2 tables. You can do just actually buying a mask, one of those full face masks that actually covers your nose, filling it with water, and trying to talk or sing or do that kind of stuff with your mask flooded. That's going to help you with your water confidence. So that's something you can do. Other than that, I don't know, I'd probably move to a place that has a pool or find a pool. Back to the buddy grips thing. I'm very good at breaking buddy grips. I saw Patrick Lamage on here, and he could probably tell you that I'm pretty good at it. BA prep course right now. Lamage is also a person that could tell you about BA prep. We haven't had a lot of success with BA prep on the team that I proctored, which is the last team that I went through. There was only really one true candidate from BA prep that made it through out of, I think it was 25 or something like that. So we haven't seen a lot of success. I think they're bringing in collegiate athlete coaches from all over the United States. They're bringing in just nutritionists, physical therapists, and a bunch of other people to take care of the students and make sure that you are fed, and obviously if you get injured, then you're taken care of and put back up to speed as soon as possible. So they're having the right idea, they're going in the right direction, but it's very slow movement because a lot of people aren't exposed to the high intensity of, our training. So I think it's going to be slow going on that, but eventually I think they'll get there. Let's see. Workouts. My goal is to get these out by December 1st. I just picked my logo today. Actually, it was yesterday, and I'm working on the website. I'm working on all the legal back end stuff, just to make sure it's good to go. And it'll be out there as soon as possible. How long should you be able to hold your breath? I mean, that's kind of a tough question. It's pretty much up to you how long you really need to hold your breath, because the longest that you're going to have to hold your breath is on a 50 meter underwater. That's the grad standard for 9th week. 50 meters underwater. Typically it takes about, 2.5 maybe minutes, and that's depending on what speed you're swimming at. So swim down to the other end, you get to turn around, and you swim back to the other side and stand up, good to go. So I wouldn't go anywhere past 5 minutes, and really it's just keeping your heart rate low, because anybody can hold their breath for probably over 2 minutes in a calm environment where no one's yelling at them. They haven't been doing push-ups, they haven't been doing whatever it is. So I wouldn't focus on holding your breath for too long, but more focus on intervals and intensity. I have a beard right now because I'm on leave. Water confidence drills that can be done alone. Mostly it would be technique stuff. Like you could practice your mask and snorkel as long as you're not going subsurface for an extended distance. You can do your mask and snorkel drills. And again, I'm going to explain how to do that kind of stuff whenever it comes time to start on my website and all that kind of stuff. I'll have videos so that you can see exactly how, and also the exact techniques and standards for induct. Other ones that can be done alone. Honestly, you can kind of do butter breathing alone, because the thing that people mostly struggle with, especially in the first couple weeks, is just getting their mouth on the seal, like going back and forth, clearing the snorkel, getting their mouth on the seal. You want to make sure that you have nice, quick, short breaths, not like long exhalations. So you're doing pass it, come back, and you sound, so it should sound like. So those two you can do alone. Other than that, I wouldn't go too much further in there besides doing like 1 or 2 25 meter underwaters. Let's see. Shipping in February, how do you stay in shape? Through basic. So right now in basic training, you guys are going to have your own basic training battlefield airman flight. And we have a PJ that's assigned to that flight also to work out with you guys and make sure that you guys are doing the standards. So that program just came into effect about 4 or 5 months ago. So you'll have somebody there to help you work out. You'll get extra pool time. You'll get 1 day a week to go to the pool. But really, it should be maintenance up to that point. I wouldn't count on getting any stronger or anything like that throughout basic training. So make sure you guys are ready to go. Grad standards, and I'll post those again on my website whenever it opens up. Grad standards by the time you leave for induct. Yes. Workouts 1 December. Greatest accomplishment or personal victory during my time here? I think that I don't count any single person or any single person that I talk to as a gigantic victory. I try to, a lot of times, whenever I first open up and whenever I first meet the team, I'll be really tough. I'll be really difficult on them. I'll yell at them a lot. They'll think that I'm just a dickhead the entire time. Until after they pass ETD, then I'll get to know them a little bit better, and I'll make sure that they know that I'm an actual person that wants to make sure that they get to do induct. I mean, that's why I'm here doing this video right now, because I want to make sure as many people as possible, and obviously the right people, make it through induct. So, I think the best part about being an instructor is those people that make it through, they're going to remember their instructors for the rest of their career, for the rest of their life. And you really come out of that course becoming a lot more confident in yourself and your teammates and just everything you can do. I mean, it's kind of like Once you pass NDOC, you feel like you can, do anything that you put your mind to. Like next step, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an astronaut, whatever it is, like you're good to go on that because you know that you passed NDOC, you have what it takes, and you stuck through it no matter what it was, no matter how hard it got. You did it for you and your team, and most of all for those people that you're going to be saving one day. Ironman endurance races. I don't have any issues with doing any endurance races or anything like that, as long as you've done them before and you're continuing to do them. If you're trying to jump into that right before you come to NDOC, run a 26-mile marathon, then it's going to really suck for you because a lot of people show up with shin splints, all that kind of stuff, and they end up getting washed back or kicked out. Then they have to come back in another year and a half to try again. So I would, if you've been doing it, then do it. What is phase 2? Phase 2 is a pre-selection process that we do for prior service guys and CROs. So combat rescue officer is the CRO. They're the officers of our career field, and they're also the officers of the SEER career field. We do that selection because we want the NCOs and the officers to pull the rest of the airmen that haven't had any experience through, because in our experience we've seen people that are a little bit more mature stick with it a little bit better, and they're pretty focused on what they're trying to do, and people that are not as mature, they make impulsive decisions, so it's a little bit more difficult for them to get through. So that's why we make the guys go through phase 2, and typically it's about 4 or 5 days of phase 2. CRO and PJ differences. So combat rescue officer, obviously they're an officer, and they are dealing more with the up and out of whatever's going on with the mission. So they're more of advocates for the PJs. Not to say that they don't do missions, but you can expect that if you're going to be doing the combat rescue officer route, you're only going to be operating for about 2 to 3 years, and then after that you're pretty much writing regs and sitting up at the JOC, which is the Joint Operations Center. So you're going to be more focused on planning rather than actually doing the mission. So PJ has their paramedic. CROs do not have their paramedic. We're the tactical and technical experts. We are in charge of making sure that everything that goes on as far as the ground is concerned goes off without a hitch, and we get out the patient effectively. So PJ team leaders manage the team, make sure that everything's tactically sound. CROs relay through the PJ team leader exactly like what's going on, talking to higher headquarters and making sure that everybody knows what's going on with us, and they also help with the planning process. Thoughts about doing life flight when done as a PJ in civilian world? Now, there's not really any going back from being a PJ to life flight. I've done a couple life flights just on rotations. You see some cool stuff, but most of the time it's just sitting around wearing a jumpsuit and then flying over to a place. I don't know. I think they get decently paid, but I don't think there's any going back after being a PJ. Why are people so quick to quit? There's a lot of different reasons that people quit. Most of the time they say that they had a moment of weakness in the pool. They just freaked out for a second. They were choking on water. They grabbed the wall. They, whatever it was. They just had that moment where they're like, oh shit, I feel like I'm going to die. So they're, obviously their first instinct is to grab the wall, to start coughing, to start whatever, get out of the pool, because it's uncomfortable. And we need to get all of you guys, all the people that pass, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, basically. You're going to have that moment, especially out in the field. I mean, I've had it plenty of times where I was, deployed, and I just felt like, damn, I feel like shit right now. I've been going for, 20 hours, and I really haven't even eaten. I just feel like, I don't know, it's a little bit difficult to keep on moving right now, but then stop focusing on whatever I'm doing right there, and make sure that all the people are taken care of, and grab a quick bite. Like, all right, let's press on, keep on going. But the biggest thing is to think through your actions, not just like, crap, I want to quit, this sucks, and then do it. Just like, all right, I set out to do this thing, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep on trucking and go through with it. So that's the biggest thing, is think through your decisions. Paramedic school right now, almost done. They still put us through the whole medic program again. Nope, if you have a paramedic license and you're NREMT certified, then you don't have to do paramedic school again. Yes, there are prior service in PJs. There are guys that come over from the SEALs, guys that come over from Recon, all sorts of guys that come over and want to be a PJ. It's not that anybody's better than any other, but maybe one person doesn't like the mission of the Green Berets, one person doesn't like the mission of the Rangers, or whatever it is. But I can tell you right now that being a PJ is better than all those, definitely, because I've worked with them all. Let's see, what are the requirements to get into the course? Eyesight, height, anything like that. Honestly, I'd have to read the regulation on that. I don't think there's a height requirement or anything like that. We've seen guys that were like 5'2" come through. It's probably better because you can just stand up in the helicopter probably. So as far as eyesight, I think it has to be correctable to 20/20. Is what I heard last, but I'm not exactly sure on that, so I don't want to give you wrong information, but that's the last thing I heard. So usual day during employment. It depends on where you're deployed to. There have been times when I was deployed and I had a mission like every couple hours, and you just come back, you're tired, and you're just like, holy crap, I'm spent now. Can the next team please take over? But there have been deployments where you're just like sitting there for a couple days, and it's like, okay, I guess we're just gonna play Xbox, and when that gets old, you're like, crap, I need to do something with my life, so I'm gonna read a book now. So it kind of depends, and obviously you're trying to stay in shape the entire time, but you pretty much always have time to work out and personal downtime. There's not much else going on. Previous SEALs, we have had a couple, not recently though. We have had some guys who failed out of the SEAL course come over here though. Yep, Lamage, good point. It's about, like I said, keeping calm and keeping the heart rate down. Anybody could sit in a room and hold their breath for 2 minutes or whatever, a minute, however long it takes to do your underwater, but it's keeping calm through all the noise and all the instructors yelling at you, the flutter kicks, the duck walks, all those kind of things. So that's what you really got to try and focus on. How many prior service, inter service guys do you see going through pipeline on average? Typically there are, I don't know, about 5 to 10 prior service guys in the class. So it kind of depends on the class. I mean, whoever's up for it. I like that, Lamage, how you keep on throwing those quotes out. I told you guys. Most important advice someone should know. Someone should know before starting the pipeline. Something that people should avoid doing. Avoid doing drugs. Avoid getting in car accidents. Most important advice is train with a buddy. I think that helps you guys a lot. I wish I would have had a buddy to train with. That's going to be part of my Facebook group / website kind of thing. I want to make sure that you guys are finding each other. If there's someone else in San Antonio or wherever you guys live, you guys are finding each other and then training together, because you really get better by training with another guy or another girl, whatever it's going to be. I haven't seen any girls, by the way, try to come through yet. There are some people that I've talked to on here that are thinking about coming through, but Yeah, we're here to get as many people through as possible. But that's one of the things. So make sure that you're trying to train with a buddy and push yourselves and push each other. Average age of those who sign up, most of the guys are between, enlisting age 19 and 25. I think that's the biggest average group right there. Anyone above 25, it's a little bit more rare because they're kind of set in their ways. They have whatever career they have going on. So, it's mostly officers, NCOs, and that kind of thing as they get over 25. If you're not a physical freak when it comes to swimming and running, but you bust your ass every day and never show that you're going to quit, will the instructor still work with you? Definitely. As long as you have the right attitude, you're willing to actually accept criticism, willing to actually learn from what the instructors are saying, because there are plenty of guys that I've talked to for like 10 minutes and trying to tell them, all right, you're doing this stroke wrong, you got to do this, you got to do that, you're going so slow on your underwater, that's why you're about to pass out every single time that you surface, so try this. And then they jump back in the water and I'm like, you didn't do anything I just said, so why am I going to waste my time on you? So, but those guys that actually do get it and do actually try, the instructors are definitely willing to work with, and you show that you're willing day in and day out to bust your ass and be loud and proud, that kind of stuff. We definitely want those kind of guys. And honestly, as long as you're not completely out of shape, I prefer a person who's motivated and is willing to work for whatever they get than a person who is a physical stud but is a lazy piece of shit. So that's what I prefer, and I'm sure the instructors will agree with me. Will we have to hit 75-meter underwaters at any point? Nope, unless you're stuck in a cave and you have to escape or something like that. I don't know. 50 meters, grad standard? Yep. All right, someone answered it already. CrossFit program. I think the CrossFit program doesn't work as well for the soft pipeline because they're not training you in the types of exercises that you're going to be doing at Indoc. So they're not constantly doing push-ups and duck walks and all that kind of stuff. And most of the durations of the exercises for CrossFit are under an hour. So typical day at Indoc, you're going to be showing up at 6:15. You're going to warm up for 45 minutes. You're going to get all your shit ready to go as far as team gear. 7 o'clock hits. It depends on the day, but you're going to do probably like a run, some cals, and then you're going to go fin for a couple hours, and then you're going to do water con, and then in between all that stuff, you guys are going to be doing drops, which is like push-ups, iron mics, that kind of stuff, jacking your feet up on the wall. So the CrossFit workouts, I don't think they really prepare you guys for the length of time that you're going to be working out. Effective running schedule. That's a little bit difficult to explain, but basically you want to get in probably around 15 to 20 miles depending on the week and how good you are at running. I usually run an 8-mile run every Sunday, and then a couple runs here and there, some sprints during the week, that kind of stuff. Weightlifting to calisthenics ratio. I would say that in order to be effective, like in Indoc, we only do weightlifting exercises probably twice a week for an hour. So I would really focus on your calisthenics. And you see a lot of improvements from when guys show up to the time that they are taking that final eval. But I haven't seen any guys that have done only 54 push-ups, or guys that I've seen guys that can bench a lot and they have gigantic chests, but they can't actually do 70 push-ups when it comes down to the time. So I would focus more on cals. Is it possible to get in with a color deficiency? It depends on how bad your color deficiency is. I've had a couple guys that had that and it was waiverable, but it kind of depends on how bad it is. So If you see black and white, then it's probably going to be pretty difficult for you. Can Navy SEALs become PJs if they left the Navy to join the Air Force? Yeah, definitely. Got to watch Poole. Is there a certain EMOM time that you guys stick to, or does it vary? It always vary based on the week that they're in. So when they start out in first week of indoc, you're doing 3 minutes for your underwaters. We're talking about for a 100-meter interval. So the standard for a 100-meter of finning is 2 minute. What is it? 3,000 meters for an hour. So yeah, 2 minutes. But it kind of varies depending on if we're at the lake, if we're actually doing interval training or whatever. So, kind of people get selected for retraining. How much does your EPR affect the decision making process? Be selected for. It's kind of hard to answer that question, but it's kind of up to the commandants of each one of those schoolhouses. But I will tell you that if you come to Indoc and you quit, you're most likely going to not be transferred over to any of the other career fields. But if you come to Indoc and you just fail because of push-ups or whatever it is, then you'll have a better chance of being reclassed into CCT or SAUT or whatever it is. But you cannot go CCT and then try out for PJ. So if you don't make CCT or SAUT, then you're not going to have a chance of making it through Indoc. So to create my own workouts, I kind of mimic things that I do out in the operational world. So I pretty much always wear my weight vest. And those of you guys that are my students, they've seen me work out with my weight vest. So I want to mimic the functional work as much as possible, doing rucks, doing step ups, carrying kettlebells, farmers carries, that kind of thing. So it kind of varies from time to time. There'll be like a time where I go a lot harder for a couple months, and then I'll back off a little bit and do some more running because it's a little bit different than it's just better to vary up your training and make sure that you're a little bit more well-rounded. How long do people stay PJs? Honestly, there are a lot of people that stay being a PJ for very long. A lot of people end up getting out after their first 6 or whatever years because they have all the training. They have, as much as if they got everything that they wanted out of being a PJ, they saved a couple of people's lives, and they feel like, all right, it's time to move on to whatever else I need to do. So, it's just up to the person, but a lot of people end up getting out a little bit earlier. And I think it's kind of similar in most other career fields that are, spec ops. Family situation, is it tough to have a family while being a crow? Yeah, I mean, in the military in general, it's going to be difficult to have a family and then be deployed or be training, whatever kind of stuff it is. But there's a really good support network that we have within all of our squadrons, a lot of resilience training and that kind of stuff. So we make sure that the wives and the family are taken care of, and then we, at every available opportunity, make sure that those that are deployed or whatever get like Skype privileges. They get some kind of internet downrange that we send people off with. So you'll have time to talk to your family, but there is a sacrifice involved, definitely. So if you're not into that, then it's all right. Do they still have Hell Week at Indoc? They do not have a Hell Week. It's kind of like they have a Hell Night, but it kind of bleeds into the next day. It's a 21-hour event, and then you get like a 2 or 3 hour break, and then you go back into the next day, which is a normal day, kind of. But you're pretty much, smoked. You've been up for 30 plus hours at that point, so you're pretty smoked by that point. So it's kind of like a hell day and a half. Why did I choose to be a PJ? I kind of talked about that in the beginning, but I'll go over it again just because there was a little bit less people. I wanted to be a PJ because I saw a bunch of people, or a bunch of times in my life when I was working at JCPenney's, or I was a server or whatever it was, and there were people that were hurt, or they were sick, they were choking, whatever it was, and I had no idea how to help them. I was only 18 years old or whatever, and I had never known anybody who knew any medical training, so I had a difficult time with not being able to help people. And I think that's kind of what I've always wanted to do with my life and what I've kind of focused on. So I saw the opportunity to be a PJ, and honestly, I didn't know anything about all the jumping. I mean, it's not like I was in the Stone Age, but it's 2005. There wasn't a bunch of websites. There wasn't a bunch of anything that can tell me exactly what being a PJ was. I saw a video of a dude going up and down a hoist and jumping out of a plane. I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I just like the mission because you get to save lives. No matter what people send you out there for, you're there to save lives. Like the SEALs, the Green Berets, whatever, hands down, they're awesome. Love those guys, but their mission varies from time to time. They're not always, they're going out to just, kill. I'm going out to save, kill, when I have to. PJs, what they have in common is that they're motivated, competitive, and they just have a drive to do better, to make people better, to make themselves better, and take care of their team and their family as much as possible. So, we all live by the motto that us may live, to make sure that every single person that we could possibly help, we actually help them. So that's kind of part of why I'm doing this thing right here. Those people that know me, my students, they know that I'm not big on being in front of a camera. I'm not big on long speeches. I'm not big on hearing myself talk. So it's kind of weird for me right now, seeing myself in a camera talking. But, it's all about making sure that you guys have the opportunity to make it through INDOC and then grow, so that you guys can have that experience that I had, be confident, and crush every single thing that you guys see in front of you guys. All right, crew chief to PJ possible? Yes, definitely. We've had a couple guys that were crew chiefs and want to go PJ, so yep. Average age INDOC grads, like I said, typically around 19 to 25 years old. Anything older, you're going to have a tough time. CrossFit program can be effective. Another guy already asked that about the CrossFit program. Just said it's not a long enough exercise for the most part in order to get you ready for INDOC, because it's like an 8-hour workout pretty much every day. Some more detail on the requirements or expectations for phase 2. Uber Dave. So you're going to be briefed a little bit on that before you go by whoever your Crow liaison is. But it's pretty much going from first week of INDOC to 5th week of INDOC in 4 days. So you're going to be smoked and tired the entire time. One of the instructors actually was trying to go be a Crow. So he was at that last phase 2, and there were some pictures that I had of him on there, even though he didn't like that. But he passed out during the phase 2 10-ups. So, just goes to show about how prepared you are. Of course, he got back up and just entered the water again. But so expect to pass out, I guess. But be physically ready, because you're going to be doing a lot of physical activity and grassing gorillas, duck walks, all that kind of stuff. And the pass test for phase 2 is not like the pass test that everyone else does. It's going to be a 3-mile run and a little bit longer swim and a little bit higher cal. So be at INDOC grad standards. Programs at Nellis to help those who want to retrain and go back to pararescue. Rodell, I think I remember you. You were a running guy, right? I don't know of any programs, but I think you can probably go up there to the squadron, seek out the crones, the crow cones, and they'll probably be more than willing to work with you guys, especially since you're potentially going to be on their team. So if they're not willing to work with you guys, then let me know and I'll go call their commander. Obviously, send one POC, don't go in a mob to go up to the squadron, but those crow candidates that are up there should definitely be working with you guys to make sure that you are good to go. Chances of someone coming out of BMT and straight into the INDOC course, is there a filter process or do you have to be a certain rank? Nope, as soon as you sign up and you're guaranteed to go try to be a PJ, you can come straight out of BMT. And well, you're not going to go to INDOC course. The course has kind of changed now. You're going to be going through what's called BA Prep, like I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video. It's another 8 weeks to prepare, but I say that, like, don't count on that 8 weeks to make you prepared. That should be like a refining period, not your go-to or not what you're counting on to make you ready for INDOC. So be ready to go before you show up. But there is no filter or anything like that to stop you from coming straight out of basic. 17-year-old? Not that I remember a 17-year-old coming through. I'm sure it can happen, but the thing you have to remember and make sure you're not going to do is be impulsive and, make that unrational decision at the wrong time. So just practice that stuff. Have you ever seen someone over 25 go through the pipeline? Yep, definitely. There was a guy on the last team, he was 28. There have been guys that were 35 that went through, upwards of 38. I mean, it's kind of pushing it to do this strenuous of a course because you're kind of prone to injuries. You have to really focus on making sure that you're stretching and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little more difficult for you guys, but you can definitely come through if you're a little bit older. People graduate even though they don't come to INDOC at grad standards. There are some people that graduate, they come to INDOC standards. The cutoff for me is if I see a guy that shows up on the past day one, he gets under 60 push-ups, and it's going to be really hard for him to climb all the way up to 70 push-ups over 8 weeks because it's hard to completely grow over those 8 weeks because you're just kind of crushing yourself. You're deteriorating all your muscle. You're deteriorating like all your entire body. So it's kind of hard to really gain a lot of numbers while you're in INDOC. That's why I say you guys need to come prepared and add grad standards before you get over to INDOC. Because that way, if you're ready to go, you know you already have INDOC standards in the bag, then you can focus on that WaterCon portion and just focus on the team, and you're not that guy that's kind of staying up late at night, worried about the eval for push-ups or whatever. You got it. So make sure you do that. Smallest guy you've seen make it through. I'm a gal looking to cross-train but more concerned about my size holding me back over my fitness or motivation. There is I don't know if Lamage is still on here, but he was one of the smallest guys I've ever seen come through. I think he was 120 pounds or something like that. So he's a pretty small dude, but all it takes, like I said, is a lot of heart. I can remember on the rucks, those people that are a little bit smaller, they're going to definitely have a lot of difficulty. You're going to be carrying LBE, a weapon, so the weapon's 10 pounds, the LBE's just a couple pounds, your helmet, and then your ruck, which is 55 pounds, doing a 6-mile ruck. It's going to suck. But if you've trained up your body and your bones to make sure that you're not going to be injured through your time in INDOC, then I think you'll be all right. Like I keep on saying, it's all about that drive and motivation, and making sure that your teammates make it through also. Is INDOC 7 days a week with no days off, or is there downtime? There's definitely downtime. It just depends on the class, really, because as proctors, there were times that we can come over on the weekends or just come over to Chow Hall, whatever, and check on you guys. Or if you guys are really messing up bad, then we can come on the weekends, give you guys a log, that kind of stuff. So It kind of depends, but most of the time you'll have the weekends off. What would be the best way to practice WaterCon overall before Indoc? Best way to practice WaterCon is, read the website that I'm going to put out, because I'm going to have all the standards and exactly the procedures for doing everything. I've taught hundreds and hundreds of people how to do WaterCon, so if you read that, I'm going to try and make it as basic as possible to make sure that you guys know how all the different techniques. I'm going to include some of the techniques that the instructors like to tell people, all that kind of stuff, so you can start practicing early. But find a technique that's right for you, however you're going to do it, as long as it fits into the standards. And the best thing is, like I keep on saying, is make sure you have a buddy that can watch you and make sure you're doing it correctly, rather than just you thinking that you're doing fine and then you're jacking it all up. Typical day at Indoc. And do the CCTs have the same 5 days a week? CCT course is a little bit shorter. I think they have 6 days a week. Theirs is only 2 weeks, their selection course. So it's a little bit shorter. I think it's a little bit more ruck intensive, just like the TAC-P guys. A little bit less WaterCon intensive, but I'm not really an expert on the CCT course, so I can't tell you exactly for sure. But for the WaterCon piece, yeah, make sure that you guys are practicing. Daily life of a PJ while not deployed or on a training trip. Typically when we're at home station, we want to make sure that our gear is good to go. Obviously, as soon as we get back from TDY, our gear is consolidated, team gear is first. We go back to our cages, take care of our own personal gear, make sure it's ready to go just in case we get a civilian mission, which happens semi-frequently, depending on what unit you're at. So once that's good to go, then it depends on if you're a team member or a team leader. As a team member, you're going to be getting in the books, trying to get stuff signed off for your upgrade, practicing your medicine, practicing your IVs. It's kind of like most of the time I would set out a training schedule for my team members. So Mondays, medicine. Tuesdays, you're going to go do some CQB or tactic stuff. Wednesdays, you're going to probably do some kind of water or whatever. Thursdays, rope stuff, and then we kind of rotate out shooting and jumping and whatever based on aircraft availability and that kind of stuff. So we're just constantly training, no matter if you're TDY or if you're at home station. I'm always planning stuff. We're always trying to make each other better. Just doing the back end stuff, like our supply guys, we're researching new equipment that we want to bring on our next deployment or whatever. We're going to go to Afghanistan. It's going to be cold, so we need to make sure that we have the awesome freaking cold weather gear so that we're not out there stuck in the suck. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on at home station. Just kind of depends on the day, and really it's up to you how much you want to train. You can force guys to train, but most of the time it's just up to them. Best advice for getting picked up from the retraining assessment. They're going to be really what you're looking for in the assessment for phase 2, I'm assuming you're talking about, is leadership. So you want to make sure that you are helping your guys at every single point, and you don't want to show a time where you're weak. You don't want to show a time when you're having difficulty with whatever it is. I always tell my guys to, like, my face as it is right now, if I'm carrying a ruck or picking up a guy, don't make faces. Be as stoic as possible, and then always take care of your men, take care of whoever's beside you so that they can get through. Because we're really looking for that whenever you're getting through. Sorry, I was just reading someone's comment. My recruitment process. This is for Brody freaking Bauer. My recruitment process to get into pararescue was pretty non-existent. I went to all the different recruiters from every service, Navy, Army, all that kind of stuff. And I was going to go Ranger for a second, and I was like, I don't know about that mission. So I went over to the Air Force recruiter, and he was like, here's a video of some things that they do, some cool stuff. And they showed me the only video that was in existence at the time. of the Iceland PJs, and I was like, all right, let's do that. And he was like, all right, you're in the DEP program, so you're gonna have to come in PT. So I was like, all right. So I ended up leading out the PT and stuff like that. So it was a pretty non-existent recruitment process, and that's kind of the reason. Another reason why I'm starting this thing is because I had zero tools out there available to me. I didn't know what buddy breathing was. I didn't know really anything. I did probably for my workouts maybe 2 20-meter underwaters when I was practicing for this stuff. So I think there's a lot of tools out there for you guys now. And a lot of people, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people doing this, but a couple other people that have videos for you guys to watch and stuff like that. So make sure you take advantage of whatever you can. I mean, my goal is to make sure that you guys get through whatever way you guys get through is cool. I just want to make sure you guys have all the tools available. As much as I can put out there, then you guys get it. Yes, I will try to save your video. try to save this video after I'm done with it. Like I said, I'm not too good at technology right now. This is my first ever Instagram live thing, so hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope it's not too boring or stupid, but hopefully it's informative for you guys and you can learn something from it. But I'll try and save it after I'm done with this. All right. Is passing out a normal occurrence during pool sessions? It depends on the pool session. There are some pool sessions that are harder than others. Typically it's going to be on a Thursday, but it kind of depends on whatever the instructors want to do. So I think after probably third week, most of the time there's going to be someone that's going to pass out, but it's not everybody's. Most of the time out of, let's say, a team of 20, there'll be, 10% that pass out. So most people don't pass out though. Most people are just fine. You just get really hypoxic and blue, a little bit loopy, and then we slap you out of it and you're good to go. Anyone else? Have you ever been on any ops missions with Green Berets, etc., or did you stay on call and jump in? Yes, I've been on like total complete deployments with Rangers and Green Berets and SEALs. So, yeah. And there have been times when I've actually met them at the objective or whatever. So, but not every PJ gets, all the awesome experience or all the whatever it is. So it's kind of luck of the draw of what you're going to get. But most guys, if you are squared away, then you're going to get the opportunity to work with all those guys that you want to work with, because we want to put our best foot forward as a career field. So we're going to send the most squared away guys that we possibly can to make sure that they represent us well. Andrew Soares, do you know if rhabdomyolysis in somebody's medical records would DQ them from retraining into pararescue? Not that I know of. We've had a couple guys that have had it before and it hasn't stopped them, so I wouldn't see any reason why that would stop you. BA prep is mandatory for Sam Mendello. BA prep is mandatory for all non-prior service. So if you just came out of basic, then you're going to BA prep. Anybody who's prior service, then you just do the phase 2, and then you might do like what's called the wing development. We have some guys that are working with a separate company now, and they are helping train guys, and I've helped train some of those guys as far as the instructors. So they're doing a lot better job than they were in the beginning, but again, I wouldn't count on any of those things to make sure that you're ready to go. Sky Krieger, no, you don't do the 8-week prep course if you cross-train and you're from another FSC, but you do the phase 2 like I was talking about, which is a 5-day course for the pre-selection. Let's see. Gabriel Rodriguez, the duration a crow can operate. Oh, never mind. Activity varies courses, right? All right. Have you worked with any one of the reserve squadrons? If so, or any of them doctors who were in practice? Yeah, actually, I went through with a guy who's now a doctor. He's over at Portland. So he's a doctor, he's a reservist, as a PJ also. So you can do both jobs as long as you are, staying current in your PJ stuff and, volunteer for deployment every now and then. But you can do both. I don't know of any running programs personally for the 5 or 6 miler, but obviously my program will make sure that you get there. Knee surgery does not disqualify anybody from trying out for PJs. The only thing that would be a disqualifying thing is if you have like a limited range of motion or whatever, you can't bear weight or extra weight, so it kind of depends. How common are eyesight waivers? I think as long as you get LASIK or PRK before you get in and your vision is correctable to 20/20, then you shouldn't have any issues at all. How often do PJs deploy? It kind of depends on the unit that you're at. When I was stationed over in Mildenhall, I was there for about 4 years, and I deployed, I guess, about 3 times. So in between then, there were a bunch of TDYs and stuff like that, but I deployed about 3 times, and then when I was over in Nellis, that's when I deployed the most, so that was the 5 times. So it kind of depends on the squadron that you're at and the availability of all the deployments. So college, JR Smyrnios. How do college credits translate with pararescue? I'm 33, though might be too old to get med trained. You can transfer all of your college credits into the CCAF, or most of the college credits. You'll get some CCAF credits when you go to INDOC also, so that'll be as an elective. But your college credits will count. You'll get your CCAF, you'll get in personnel recovery, and then you can move on to your bachelor's. So it doesn't really, it depends on what your goals are, but yeah, you can get your CCAF, which is a associate's. Have I had anybody come through on an asthma waiver? I've had people that were diagnosed with asthma and they still had to use their inhaler as they were going through INDOC. And that guy graduated, so. Back when I was coming through, I know they didn't allow any asthma guys, but it seems like now they're allowing it. Obviously, I'm not the medical authority on who gets in or out based on medical stuff, but it seems like you have a good opportunity for that. Plains likes Kieran. How do you maintain healthy family relationship as a pararescueman? Sometimes it gets difficult depending on your job, especially when you first start out, because you got to be the new guy. You got to make sure that you're squared away and you show everybody that you're willing to work, all that kind of stuff. You stay at work for long days, but really it's just about calling your significant other or whatever as often as you can. Buying flowers, letting them know that you still care even though you're away a lot or whatever. So that's kind of one of the things that I would make sure that you have nailed down before you try to come to INDOC is, hey, listen, I want to try and do this PJ thing, but I need you to have my back. I need to make sure that you're with me the entire way. And there are going to be times when you're going to argue and that kind of stuff, but just stay committed to that goal and what you guys set out to do as a team, you and your family, and you'll be fine. Joseph Tizio, how hard was it for yourself to pass the PASS test? I don't remember the PASS test ever being difficult, so it shouldn't be too difficult. All right, sorry, I'm kind of behind on these questions because I'm taking a little bit longer on these. Haley Luker, are you with STS or RQS? Well, currently I'm an instructor at Indoc, so I'm kind of neither, but I have been to STS